A few months ago, we teamed up with Alex Hormozi and other experts in the cold email space to share their thoughts on cold email outreach. As someone who sent over 1 million cold emails, Alex Hormozi dropped some cold email gems here. So today what we're going to do is we're going to see what the man himself has to say about cold email and how you can use it to get more clients every single month.
I encourage people who are getting into that game to just only look at progress from one step to the next and one step to the next and one step to the next. And then it takes a very long time to lay all the bricks across the bridge. But then once the last brick's in, all of a sudden the money that was just stockpiled, boom, it flows through. Once you do get the first dollar across, then you just start turning dials. Like, okay, how can I get open rate up? How can I get show rate up? How can I get close rate up? Can I change this offer? Like all that kind of stuff. And then it can just become a really well-oiled machine.
So the first point that Alex makes is really the notion of just being patient. And love this because what we don't want to expect is our first campaign, our first 1,000, 10,000, even 100,000 emails to get that 10% reply rate, allow you to finally close deals. Because really what Alex is saying, it's the compound effect. It's the compound effect of analyzing, improving, analyzing, improving, analyzing, improving. And by doing that consistently over time, what that's going to compound to is growth.
Personalization, well, you could obviously there's tools now that can do personalization, but we use VAs a lot of times to help find the little tidbits that get put into the email. So during the data enrichment process, that's one of the things that we'll do from a tactical perspective. I am also 5 levels above this. So I'm giving you the manager of those teams would probably know a lot better answers than me, but just with broad brushstrokes. VAs are a big part of it. Use software tools whenever we can, automate any kind of personalization. And a big part of it really comes down to how good the lead magnet is.
So this leads us to our second point from Mr. Hormozi, which is personalization. And I know Alex is a few steps above this and definitely doesn't manage the cold email campaigns in his roles, but the relevance of personalization from what I've seen is literally going to make or break your email. What he says is that he uses virtual assistants, which is a worthwhile investment. And if you didn't know, he also mentioned in his book, $100 Million Leads, that he actually uses Instantly for his portfolio of companies. So he might be using virtual assistants to use Instantly's personalization tool to make this even more effective.
It's really contextual. It's like walking to a nightclub versus walking to a library. Even if you're the same person, you might dress differently and you could look out of place. I think that if there's a Facebook ad that looks really good, I'd be like, what's the core message of this? And can I translate this into what would appear to be one-to-one communication? And if you're running an ad versus an email, one is one-to-many, one is one-to-one. Best way to get someone to ignore one-to-one communication is to make it look like it's one-to-many.
I actually wanted to back up on this because this is also the point on copy and personalization. A lot of agencies that I see, when they send over their copy for review, it literally looks like they're writing on a billboard. We need to go into the head of the recipient, of the business owner that you're emailing. If they receive what looks like an email blast or an ad, do you think that they're actually going to be like, wow, this really spoke to me and I'm actually going to respond? No. Alex says the best way to get your email ignored is to make your one-to-one communication look like one-to-many. Using personalization is going to be key in making sure that when you're emailing somebody, it seems like you're doing one-to-one communication, not one-to-many.
Craziest response rates, in my opinion. And so the big breakthrough that we had in the cold outreach process that I showed the numbers on was when we switched the lead magnet. And that was what made the huge bump in response rates and then ultimately sales. If I'm talking to a complete stranger, it's like they don't care. So it's like, let me give you this thing that obviously costs money because I am so confident that I can provide you value. And even if you don't buy anything from me, you will get real value because other people in the marketplace charge for this thing. So it's not like ascribing value to it. It's saying other people charge for this. And then on the back end, it's like, okay, great. How can I operationalize the shit out of this to drive down my cost so that I can do this at scale, whatever my little lead magnet deliverable is?
This leads us to our next point, which is lead magnets in the email. And love what Hormozi says, the big fast value. We talk about this a ton inside of our videos when we're talking to agencies and people that are leveraging cold email. Because at the end of the day, if you want to know how to guarantee you don't get any responses on your cold emails, like Hormozi was saying, you're asking all the time. You're selling all the time. You're selling in every single email, asking for a book call, asking them to buy. The problem with this is that you're doing nothing to stand out. And like what Alex says, no one actually cares. So instead, do what Alex says and give something that somebody would actually pay for free. He mentioned later in this clip, like a software company giving away free trial of sorts. This could be a mini course that you're selling, a free trial depending on your service, personalized audits of sorts. And I also loved what he said about operationalizing it because you don't want to be bogged down by this, but streamline the really unscalable, which is a lead magnet, something for free from this perspective. So what you can do is you can just identify, okay, what is the lead magnet? And then how do I scale the unscalable, which is giving away stuff for free, and just make that a part of your process when you are doing cold email and sending stuff to customers. And you can even personalize stuff like personalized audits in today's day and age, which is pretty cool.
There are 4 ways to get customers and pick one. If you're like trying to go to 7 figures, even 8 figures, you can probably just get away with one of them.
Pick one, stick to it. The way to be successful with lead gen is to pick one, get really good at it, and scale that to 7 figures, and he even mentioned 8 figures. It's when you start to like dabble in a lot of things, or you go shallow in a lot of different arenas, is when you begin to realize like, wow, I'm doing a little bit in a lot, I feel overwhelmed, and I'm getting mediocre results. Pick one mechanism of getting leads, acquiring customers, and scale it up, because it will work if you work it.
Sometimes you have to introduce other things. Combinations work really well. That's like content and cold outreach works really well. Content and paid ads works really well. Content, I think, is an underappreciated one because it just takes a long time. That's the problem. It just like private equity example is that word comes at such a delay that most people do it.
This leads to our next point, which is combinations. And I love that he said content. And I think one of the reasons we love cold email oftentimes is because of that it's faceless and we could just blast out a bunch of emails and we don't have to create content and it's quick. But Alex says content and cold outreach works well, which makes a lot of sense because again, going to the head of your customers, they're probably going to do some research on you before they agree to a call. And the more that you can prove that you know what you're talking about before the call, the more you'll be able to increase the likelihood of them trusting you, which will increase the likelihood of them doing business with you.
So even if it's a 60-minute appointment, having 15-minute increments increases booking rates. So number one is availability. Point number two is speed to contact. There's two elements of speed. Speed to contact is you're following up immediately. And if they reply 6 hours later, you're also speed to contact. If you're having a conversation, there's a back and forth, maintaining that speed of response.
Speed to contact is the next point. Think about it. When people are emailing you, they're at their computer and they're going through their email, probably trying to clean up their email inbox before the day or before the hour, or the time blocked time to actually do something like that. And the problem that happens with a lot of businesses and people that we talk to, even without a sales team, is they're doing a lot of other things. And then they think and do the same thing that the business owner is doing, is to say, okay, cool, I'm going to go ahead and check my instantly. I'm going to go see the responses. And what happens, like what Alex says, is the lead is going to forget about you, and your likelihood of them actually responding back and continuing a conversation is going to be significantly lower. With instantly, speed lead is simple to implement. You can have a Slack message anytime somebody responds positively to your emails so that you could react to the Slack message and make sure that you're responding effectively. 2, you could utilize the AI inbox manager to automatically respond. Or 3, if you don't have time to do this, if you don't have time to have speed to lead, you can do what we do and staff a VA to monitor your inbox, and that becomes their sole mission.
Number 3 is the volume of reach out. The number of times that you follow up with a prospect over 5 days. So if you're following up 3 times a day over 5 days, that seems to be a very minimum. And for all that stuff, we double dial text on all of them to get a higher response rate, get people to book and show.
He really reveals his strategy, which is he does 3 follow-ups a day for 5 days and double dial texts, which is consistent with the fact that it takes 8 touch points for a client to actually convert. But another sneaky thing to mention that I called out is that he's not just using email to follow up. He's using other channels to follow up. If I'm watching this, if I'm hearing from Alex, I'm thinking, okay, cool, where else can I follow up? Am I texting my clients? Am I calling them? Am I hitting them up on Instagram? Am I hitting them up on LinkedIn? Take the omnichannel approach when it comes to following up, and you're likely also going to see an increase in your show rates.
If you can put your salesman hat on for a second and remember what it was like, you knew that you could make money by simply perfectly executing the script, then the pressure of the call goes down. But what also happens is adherence to the script goes up. And when you adhere to the script more, you get more sets or you get more closes. And so creating a culture of the script is God. And if we don't deviate from the script, if the script isn't working, then everybody is adhering and then we can change the script. But until we have absolute adherence to the script, you can't do anything.
Adherent to script. Hormozi says script is the freaking God, which is massive, especially if you're scaling cold email and you're building a team around you. Your sole goal as a business owner, as a salesperson right now, should be to identify the scripts that are actually going to be effective. Once you've identified that, then you'll be able to scale the team, because like what Alex is saying, success equals adherence to script, which equals to more sales and more appointments for your business. So think to yourself and start to build out, like, what are the positive reply scripts? What are the objection scripts that you have for your business? Find the winning formula for your business so that you can scale beyond yourself, scale your appointments, and scale your business using cold email.
The third one is where we're getting our leads from. The list is still king. If you hit a terrible list, it doesn't matter how good everything else is, you're not going to get responses. And so putting more effort into thinking, how can we clean lists and scrape lists from better sources that have more qualified leads? Of all of the things, that's probably even more important than lead magnet, because you have to have that before you can introduce anything else. Like you email a bunch of moms and you're talking about SaaS software, like it really doesn't matter.
The list is still king. Core lists, broad lists, bounce back emails, lists that aren't your niche is a race to zero conversions. What most people do is they get really eager to start cold emailing and they get this list of 100,000 people and they're crossing their fingers that this is going to be the one. But yeah, like Alex was saying, the list is the root of the success because the list will dictate your copy, your angle, your offer, your personalization. I'd rather have multiple smaller campaigns with really niche lists that are clean and specific that I could test angles with than one big campaign. And lastly, just make sure the emails that you're sending are verified emails and they've gone through a verification process, which you can do inside of Instantly's Lead Finder as well. If you're wondering what kind of cold email software that Alex uses to actually automate his cold email campaigns and scale all of his businesses, he actually uses Instantly, which you can check out in the link in the description for a free 1-week trial. Also, guys, click on this video if you want a full breakdown of Alex Hormozi's $100 million cold email strategy. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We will see you on the next one.